welcome to the Technology Geek podcast. I am your host, Brandon Lepani, the Technology Geek. And what a great show I have for you today. It is Saturday. Actually, it's going to be our Sunday podcast, but it's actually being recorded on Saturday, January 19th. It'll actually be our Sunday, January 20th podcast, but it doesn't really matter. And we want to thank everybody for joining us. And this is episode 10, our 10th show, and it's been great, and glad to be here. And what a week in tech we had. Surprisingly enough, there's a lot of news after we got off last week. So let's we want to get right into the news, and also too, I want to encourage everybody to send in their questions. We didn't get as many questions as we'd like this week. But you can go ahead and send your questions to us at Lepani Tech on Twitter, and you can Skype me at Lepani Tech. And, we want those questions, because without it, it's just another news show, pretty much another tech news show. So we want to encourage everybody to send in those questions. Your questions really do make the show. So we do want to encourage that, and encourage you to send in those questions. And we also want to say as well, messing with our format here for the show a little bit. And last week, I think we were so excited. We got so many new sponsors, and I think we kind of bombarded everybody with too many commercials. So we're going to change our format. You're only going to get 2 commercials from now on. You're going to get the one at the top of the show, which is when we always do, and maybe one right before we do your questions. But that's it. We're not AM radio. We're not FM radio. We don't do 19 minutes of commercials for every hour. But I guess we were a little overjoyed at all the sponsors we had gotten, and that's all thanks to you, by the way. So, but we don't want to bombard you with 100 commercials. Like, we're not FM AM radio here, so that's one of the beauties of podcasting and all that type of stuff, is the limited commercial breaks. That's one of the reasons why I went with satellite radio, because the commercials, but let's go ahead and talk. Speaking of that, though, I want to call out our sponsor, Audible. You get a free 30-day trial of Audible. If you go to audibletrial.com/techgeeks, this way we get the credit for it. And it's a wonderful, wonderful service. Let me tell you, like I said, I have it myself. And I actually reached out to them to be one of our sponsors, because I thought they were such a great service. It's great, you want one, and the other thing that's kind of neat is I just got an email from them the other day saying that all their books are now going to be 1 credit. So it's really great. They're a wonderful service, and now you can get any book you want for 1 credit. And it's a 30-day free trial, and if you don't like it, you can cancel. But give it a try. It doesn't hurt for one. You get a free book, so go ahead, try it. I like it. I listen to it at the gym. I listen to it, on the go. It's a wonderful service, and it's great too. They have an iPhone app, Android app, so you don't even have to I know a lot of hassle with books is always, if you play a different song, you lose your spot. But with Audible, they actually have an app that actually you download on your phone, and you can actually play it and hold your spot and all that type of stuff. It holds all the different chapters for you. It's actually really a wonderful app just for book reading in itself. But again, that's Audible, and it's audibletrial.com/techgeek. I want to thank our wonderful sponsors for sponsoring us. They sponsor all of our podcasts, as well as all of our YouTube videos. So that's we appreciate having them as a sponsor. And by the way, while we're on the topic of YouTube, I just want to say, if anybody noticed, we finally got all of our podcasts up on YouTube, even our early ones that were kind of a little bit on the rough side, but we got them all up there. So we're great to have all of them up there. And if you want to look for any of them, you can look at archives on our website under the Technology Geek podcast, or if you want to just look them up on YouTube, you can find them there as well. And it's wonderful to have them there. Some of them actually in the 10-minute, 15-minute increment format, because they were under the old iTunes, under the old YouTube setup. But it's really, really great, though. We have them all up there, and it's glad to have them up there. This one will be up there, too, after we're done with it. So, but like I said, I want to thank our wonderful sponsors, and I want to thank everybody for following us on YouTube. And, as well as we just want to say, this site, the content's free, all the podcasts are free, the YouTube stuff is free, all that stuff is free. And the only way we do that is, by you buying stuff on our store, aacrstore.com, and, the advertisers and, all your donations. So we do appreciate that. We're able to do this and able to devote full time to this because of all your wonderful donations and all the stuff you guys buy from us, and our sponsors that, our affiliates and all that. So it's really, really wonderful, and we thank everybody for that. But enough of me rambling. Let's get to the news. We always do our tech news first, and then we'll go to your questions after that. Time Warner Cable actually is at odds with Netflix, believe it or not, over this whole Super HD 3D thing, which was kind of interesting. I kind of kind of struck me a little bit interesting. For those of you who don't know what's going on with that, Time Warner Cable and Netflix are reportedly, talking to each other over this whole partnering to the streaming provider content delivery for CDN. But the cable provider, being Time Warner, isn't too pleased about the service. Time Warner, one of their spokesmen said, they criticized Netflix for the high quality, high definition service and the super HD 3D to the customers through their cable providers. They pretty much signed up with Netflix under an open connection, but now I guess Time Warner's a little upset about it. Netflix is, possibly going to be closing off their access to them as far as the content goes and all that type of stuff. Netflix obviously has had problems with the ISPs over the years, and especially with Time Warner Cables and all their affiliates. Comcast and all that type of stuff. They've been struggling. Netflix, I believe they say on peak internet, it's like they have like 27 to 30% of the internet. So, Netflix is really, really, a huge bandwidth hog for any ISP. But, that's the way the internet's going. I remember years ago, I had a friend of mine that worked for a cable provider, local cable provider. Nobody probably know him. But, and their biggest complaint was that they always had people on dial-up. They couldn't wait to get people off dial-up on a high speed because it's easier. Now they're complaining because everybody's on high speed, and they're sucking up all the bandwidth. So I think, especially with a lot of your local ISPs that don't really upgrade, a lot of them are behind the times with their network. I remember there are some, like Google Fiber and Verizon Fios. They're kind of ahead of their time, I think. But a lot of these older ISPs need to upgrade. Some people, you're still getting 1.2 meg cable at home. That's terrible. And I think that's the problem. And the other thing is too, like I said, a lot of people have realized that people are liking Netflix because of that whole instant gratification. The instant you want something, you get it. You go on Netflix, you get the video, and you watch it. These cable providers aren't really too thrilled with that because they don't want you to pick the channels. They want to sell you a bundle pack. So we'll see how this goes. I think Time Warner. Netflix, offers that super HD, high quality 1080p and 3D. Several television providers, including, Cablevision, Google Fiber, and others, are participating in that open connection piece. But the Time Warner Cable, has been, has been the most outspoken about the service, saying that Netflix high quality video can be and should be delivered without the open connect technology. So we'll see how that goes. Time Warner wants to sign up for, with open cable, but there's no cost to anybody. But we'll see what happens. They've kind of been a little bit tight-lipped on it, so I can only tell you what I've read about it. But we'll see what happens with that. I'm not a huge fan of Time Warner Cable. Maybe I still have a bad taste in my mouth over the whole WCW sale to WWF. But getting off topic here, but that's I never was a fan of Time Warner, but that's just me. The other thing too I wanted to talk about that is kind of an interesting thing with Netflix this week is the whole situation with Netflix getting content from Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, and more other Time Warner content. Even though they did sweep their streaming deal with Time Warner, the network and the studio owners formerly, they were kind of hesitant about selling their content to them. But last week Netflix announced that it was going to finally ink the deal with Time Warner to get seasons of a lot of the big shows, The West Wing, Fringe, Chuck, a lot of big name content. What's interesting too is the deal actually included cartoon streaming content from Cartoon Network, Adventure Time, Johnny Bravo, stuff like that, Robot Chicken, all that stuff for the Green Lantern cartoon even, as well. The other thing is that I think what was kind of interesting was that Netflix really, I don't know why, by the way, I don't know if it's because it's a high-rated show, I don't watch it, but the deal, I guess, included the TNT drama series Dallas, and that won't be available to 2014, but actually they got that in the deal, which I think is really, really great for them. Netflix, like I said, they've been, they've seems like ever since they seem to lose a lot of content, but seem to grab a large amount of it at one time. So it's pretty cool. But this is, if everybody remembers, last year, Amazon, struck a deal with Epix, its Prime Video service, and that they previously had an exclusive deal with Netflix, and Viacom now owns the rights to Paramount, MGM, and Lionsgate. But I have to tell you though, I've we have Prime and we have Netflix, and whatever we can't find on Netflix, we find on Prime. So, and vice versa. So, I mean, if you have Amazon Prime, I mean, you do have a lot of good content. But I still think, from what I can see, I think they one has one that the other doesn't. It seems a lot, especially lately with all these deals going around. So, that's something that definitely, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. The other thing I want to talk about is, and I've kind of been, is the Aaron Swartz passed away. He hung himself in the in his home, and it's really unfortunate. Wonderful mind. He started going to trade shows when he was 14, all type of stuff. I'm sure everybody's heard about it by now, but I just wanted to mention it on the show. And one of the things that was neat is a lot of people credit him for co-founding Reddit. That actually isn't the truth. He actually wrote the code, and Reddit bought it from, which is what made him so wealthy. He definitely had he was definitely a really smart guy. He definitely did a lot of great things for the internet and all that type of stuff. And he became like more of an activist. And as everybody knows, he stuck a laptop in a closet in MIT and stole a lot of pretty much like open source type of law documents and all that type of stuff. I mean, from MIT, and he was actually going, I believe it was Harvard or Stanford. I don't remember, but he was facing a pretty harsh crime. I think it was going to be 50 years, like $1 million in restitution. It's really, really unfortunate. A great mind like that, unfortunately, dies like that. I know there's some controversy over it. His father, says the government had him killed, but there's a lot of too many answers about that. I mean, we did know he suffered with depression and all that type of stuff, and I'm not going to make any speculations. This isn't conspiracy theory. If you want that, you're going to need to watch Jesse Ventura or listen to the Alex Jones show. It's very unfortunate. Really great mind. There's, like I said, a lot of controversy around it, but I'm not going to get into that. He took, sometimes, people take things too far, and that's exactly what he did. But he was a wonderful programmer, a very, very smart guy, and he'd be missed in the tech community and all that type of stuff. And after he passed away, I know Anonymous hacked MIT and all that type of stuff. So it's a really story that they think is going to keep unfolding, and is going to keep to get a lot of media attention for a while. But Aaron Swartz, he'll be rest in peace, and we feel sorry for his friends and family, and what a loss to the tech community. But like I said, I would keep an eye on that, because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot more surrounding that case as time goes on. So I just want to say, like I said, my condolences go out to the family and friends of him. The other thing I guess I want to talk about, since we're on the topic of security, is Microsoft has their Microsoft kind of they got a poor grade on Security Essentials twice in a row, and now they're trying to defend the results. I haven't had much problem with Security Essentials. I know I have worked extensively with Forefront in the SCCM environment, and Forefront 2010. But I mean, there are better antiviruses out than Forefront, but. And Security Essentials. But I mean, for free, I mean, I think it does a good job. But, Microsoft has always struggled in the antivirus market. And it looks like they continue to struggle. They keep scoring very, very low on their antivirus stuff. So AVG is one of our sponsors here as well. They put out a good product. Even they're, you can't protect against everything, but they're a pretty good product. They're one that I like. Like I said, they're one of our sponsors, but they do put out a good product, and they did do a pretty good grade on this last security test. So good for them, and hope they keep making a good product. But Microsoft really needs to step the game as far as their Security Essentials and their Forefront products. So we hope they step that game up fairly soon. And one of the other things, folks, that I was reading about, and we did blog about it on the site. And by the way, the site, technologygeek.org. I know most of you know that, but I'm just going to put it out there again in case we have any new listeners. But we talked about it too. Is the that whole thing with CNET, and they talk about journalistic integrity. CNET going ahead and pretty much saying they're not going to, the Hopper, which was up for a CES award, they went ahead and they didn't do the Hopper because they felt it was because they were in litigation with another. They're in litigation with the parent companies to CNET, and I think the fact that they pulled their award and gave it to somebody else, I think that's no journalistic integrity at all whatsoever. I mean, CNET is a great site. I like CNET News, but very, very disappointed in them over that at CES. So I just want to let that be known. Nobody pays us to write reviews. Nobody pays us to say stuff. All of our sponsors are affiliates, so the only way we make money is if you guys go to them or use their services. And I don't believe in getting paid to write reviews or to change anything. So I think it's CNET. And the other thing too is CNET really does. They send 90, 100 people to these shows because they can afford to. Smaller sites can't. And it's just terrible that they would have no journalistic integrity considering how many journalists they employ. So I'm very upset about that. I know a couple people, like I said, Leo Laporte and a lot of other people, voiced their upset about that as well. So. I just want to say, no journalistic integrity at all. It's unbelievable. And, speaking of big companies, I'm still surprised. I read this article the other day, and we have a lot of people that do follow us on StumbleUpon and stuff like that. They're a really great service, but apparently they had to cut 30% of their staff just to make a profit. It's really unbelievable. I thought they were doing, last year at the big internet conference that we went to with them, they were really hyped as one of the big guns, and I'm actually really surprised that they actually lay off their staff just to make a profit. You do get a lot, especially being a blog and a podcast. You do get a lot of free traffic from them, and it's really, I thought it is a really great service. But really, really surprised that they had to lay off their staff to turn a profit. A lot of people know, they're one, StumbleUpon was, they were, a premier place for finding, articles in here. You just kind of keep going with the articles you found what you felt like reading. It was actually really kind of neat service, but they had to lay off 30% of their workforce to bring the company to profit. It pretty much brought their company down to only like 75 employees, including their CEO, and the company wants to make a move to even make the company more streamlined. So, the majority of the cuts, came from their marketing and product development, which is, kind of considering their .com. I, wonder why they cut their product development to try to make it more streamlined. But some of their desktop engineers and all that were let go. From what I'm reading, they've lost, about 40% of their traffic. I don't want to say they've lost it because there's about 40% of their traffic comes from mobile devices, and the falling traffic. They've had to make their main problem since 11, and I guess part of it is they made a big decision like Dig did to make a huge change to their environment, huge change, and they changed. The design again for for the 10th time, 15th time, and it really I'm exaggerating that, by the way, but it really hurt them, and it's a shame to see another great site like Dig going downhill. When we got rid of Dig, we were really upset because we got a lot of traffic from them, and then we were getting a lot of traffic from StumbleUpon. Now we're losing StumbleUpon. Basically, their competition is coming from Pinterest and stuff like that, but Pinterest and all that type of stuff. But changing the design, changing the way they run things. It says they're still, from what I'm reading, they said they're still in a healthy state, but I think they're losing traffic, and I think they're going to end up like another Dig soon. All these types of link sites, link farm sites, and all that type of stuff don't seem to last long. A couple of years, that's all you get out of them. I don't know why, but that just seems to be the general rule. But they changed the design for like the 10th time. Like I said, I'm exaggerating, but it really seems like they always change their site, and they're losing a lot of traffic to the mobile market now as well. And I don't understand how they say they're losing traffic, but people still going through it on the mobile phones are still making money, but I don't think they make the ad revenue like they do on the desktop environment. So we'll see what happens with them, but it's very unfortunate. It's a tough economy. People losing their jobs. It's really tough to see. The other thing that that we wanted to bring up. Like I said, we talked about our revenue stream as far as our eBay business and stuff like that. We do, like I said, appreciate everybody that buys stuff off the eBay store. We get a lot of different stuff up there. It's really great. And if you ever have a chance, anybody can go on there. There's stuff for everybody on there. eBay actually climbed 18% in their fourth quarter. We actually blogged about this because, like I said, eBay is really important to us because we make a lot of money on there. But it's great to see them. You know, they were struggling there for a couple of years, but it's great to see them climbing out and turning quite a hefty profit. So it's really great to see eBay earning money. Like I said, they're up 18%, and they're hoping actually to expand into other countries with eBay and PayPal, and hopefully make some more money. So, you know, we'll see how that goes for them. But I think they're gonna, with expanding out in other countries and all that type of stuff, I think they're just gonna get bigger, and that's really wonderful for them. You know, we use them a lot, and I know a lot of people use them for income. I think the last statistic I read, there were like 15,000 people making a living off eBay. So you know, it's great to see them, surviving and supporting, and I hope to have them around. But it's great to see them actually turning a fairly good profit after they had a rough, rocky year or so last year. So. And let's see what else we have here in the news. There's a lot of news this week, by the way. Microsoft actually to replace Xbox Live voice with Skype, and you know, I kind of figured that was going to happen. Microsoft they have to. They don't have a choice. They have to replace. You know, their they had to do something. They had to replace their. They spent billions on this product. They're going to use it for everything. Their phones, their their Xbox, they're getting rid of Messenger. You know, you kind of figure when you spend this kind of money on a product, you know that this is going to happen. And I know we've got a lot of mixed reviews from listeners and stuff like that about how they're not happy about losing Xbox voice and Xbox Live voice and all that. But you have to understand where they're coming from too. And I don't know, I think it could be a good thing because you could have, you're saying, you could talk to, you could chat with your buddy on Xbox, or you can chat to another friend you don't, you can chat to a friend that's not on Xbox Live while you're on Xbox Live if you're using Skype, because obviously the buddy list will follow you. So I think it's actually could be kind of a good thing. I personally don't play Xbox really, but I mean, I think it could be a fantastic thing. I like the idea of it personally, and I don't know. I think it could be a really, really good thing. So I'm all for it. I think it could be kind of neat. My buddy's on Xbox Live, I can Skype him while he's on Xbox. So I think it's kind of cool. And with the Kinect and all that type of stuff, and with Microsoft coming out with the new Xbox, I think it could be something definitely different. I'm game for it. I like Skype. It's a good thing. It's a good brand recognition. It works really well. Google Talk is pretty good too, but Skype seems to be the one that everybody has. I know we've got questions about FaceTime and all that type of stuff. And then I'd have used FaceTime when I was, once in a while on the Mac, but I'm really a big fan of Skype. So, and the other thing that's kind of neat, and I found this thing, there's a program out there called SkypeHide. You can actually send Skype messages secretly. It's it's pretty much it's a secret message, kind of like you send through Skype. It's kind of neat. It's a thing I kind of found. It's I don't know how many people need to send secure Skype messages, but it's kind of neat that I saw it. It's pretty much like a clever way to send secret messages during a phone call on Skype. The default Skype calls uses 256-bit encryption, but they actually found a way you can actually send Skype messages that are 70-bit long data packets instead of 130-bit long packages that are used for speech. And what you can actually do is you can actually send inject encrypted message data into some of them, and Skype receives them on the other end. It's actually pretty neat. It's actually created by a company, and it's actually called It's called SkypeHide. That's what it's called, and it's kind of neat. I'm not sure. I haven't really dove into it too much, but kind of a neat little thing. So I would something you want to check out if you need to send any type of packets. The other thing I wanted to bring up as well is YouTube is getting ready to invest more money in Vevo, but Vevo is definitely something that's definitely kind of revived and brought back to life the whole music video industry, since MTV doesn't air music videos anymore. But that's something that really has helped the music industry out tremendously, and it'd be neat to see what Google's, what YouTube or Google, whatever you want to, the same company anymore. But that's kind of a kind of a neat thing to see what they're going to do from it. From what I've read, it looks like, if the deal gets done, it's going to allow the two sides to continue with the ad revenue and all that type of stuff. Relationship they had has been going on for 3 years now. They get as part of the deal, Vevo gets to distribute obviously its music clips through YouTube. I can't see how it wouldn't, the deal wouldn't go through. I know they had the biggest round of funding, $35 million funding. Like Hulu and other TV sites, Vevo is it's a joint venture between content owners, Universal Music, Sony Music. It really is. I think they've definitely changed the music video world. I really enjoy them. I think they're a great, great company. The only thing from what I've read is, Vevo hands over about, a third of its revenue to YouTube. And, that could hurt the company later on. We'll see how it goes. But, the company does about $150 million a year in revenue, so we'll see how that goes. But I can't imagine. I imagine they're going to re-ink a deal with YouTube, but I'd really be surprised if something didn't happen. But I think YouTube's going to invest more money in them. I think they're going to grow to be more notable than they already are. Like I said, they're already they've brought back to life, the whole YouTube, the whole music video industry. So. Also, I want to say as well, Lenovo is entering the Chromebook market with a $429 ThinkPad, the X131e. So we have more. We're going to have more laptops out there with the Chrome OS on it. I like the Chrome OS. It's not bad. If you don't mind everything being out in the cloud, it's not too bad. The other thing too is that the Cisco Linksys router is vulnerable to a 0-day exploit. That's another one that. Really hit the news, and actually a lot of places, actually covered it. The 0-day vulnerability, was discovered, in Cisco's Linksys router, allows hacker to gain remote root access. Defense Code discovered it. Cisco already said, a fix is, already on its way. But according to the more than 70 million Linksys routers, are sold globally, and the exploit was successfully tested against the Linksys model WRT54GL router, and definitely the, you have to be running firmware 4.30.14, and earlier are vulnerable. We'll see what happens with that. Apparently it lets you, take control of the person's wireless router and all that. So we'll see what happens with that. I guess the big concern for that is people being able to gain access to routers for packaging and all that type of stuff. So, but, like I said, patches coming soon. Just keep an eye on Cisco's site or Linksys' site to get that firmware upgrade when it comes out. Oracle patched that big Java vulnerability, and then not even within 24 hours, there was already another one out. So that's kind of old news. And I know a lot of you probably heard it, but it's unbelievable. 2 days later, they have another exploit, and this is the type of problem that Oracle's been struggling with Java. It's a very great, very evolved programming language, but they're struggling with this, and it's really a shame. Hopefully, the thing that's nice is all the internet uproar that they've been getting over this. Oracle's had to patch those patches relatively quickly. I know I was just reading that Apple. That new blacklist thing that they have, and pretty much if you're connected, they pretty much said, okay, they pretty much put everybody on that whole Apple blacklist. And what that allows, this is the first time they actually tried it since implementing it in the new OS. And pretty much what it says is, we know there's a vulnerability, so therefore don't run this. And that's how Apple protected all. If you're a connected Mac, you got that update. And obviously, if you weren't a connected Mac, you don't have to worry about it. But pretty much what it says is, you're okay. We know there's a problem with this Java vulnerability. So Safari users don't run this. And it was really, really neat that Apple can do that and protect people like they did. And it's the first time they've actually used it. But you got to be a connected Mac. Obviously, if you're not connected, it doesn't matter because you don't have to worry about it. But really was neat that Apple was able to do that and protect as many people as they did. And I'm sure they're going to do that again for this new vulnerability. But within 24 hours, and apparently the vulnerability was already sold twice. Sold it for $5,000 to 2 people at an underground forum. And I guess the guy said he would sell the vulnerability twice. I guess he must have gotten his $10,000, and then he quickly pulled the post down. So I'm gathering that it's already been sold and it's already being distributed out there. So, but hopefully with all this internet uproar, Oracle will release another patch for Java. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully that'll be very soon. We'll get to hear more about that. Let's see what else is in the news. And the other thing that I wanted to mention in the news is the Apple ordering less iPhone 5 components. We went over this on the blog, so I don't want to get too deeply into it. But one of the things that we're hearing all the time, people are like, oh, they're ordering less stuff. There's a couple of reasons for that, possibly. Apple's trying to change their screens and get off of Samsung screens. Samsung gave them a 20% price hike a while back, and the other problem too is that Apple is they're moving manufacturing over here to America. The Christmas season's over. There's a lot of reasons why they could cut down their components. We know Apple's looking to change, processor manufacturers as well. There's a lot of reasons why Apple's changing, and a lot of the reasons why their whole, why they're reducing their amount of parts that come from Samsung. I think that whole thing was just somebody trying to get the stock to short the stock and then release a crummy article in the Wall Street Journal just to make some money. Because anybody that really follows Apple's news over the last year or two knows that they're in a big change with their products and their hardware for the iPhone 5 and. I think it's just really stupid that people come out and say that without fact checking their information, and so I think that's terrible when people don't fact check their information, especially when it hits it really hurts Apple, especially, or any company when it hits a big paper like the Wall Street Journal. That really affects what people are gonna think, because obviously when you have reputable news source like that, obviously people are going to take it relatively seriously. But there is some reasons why they're cutting back on their the amount that they're purchasing from them. And one of the reasons is because they're changing screens and because of the price hike, and they are changing processors. And the Christmas season is over, and people will upgrade slowly to it. It's really, it's really there's a lot of reasons for that, and I really hate when people do that, and don't fact check their information. The Facebook graphics was actually the big one of the big topics that I got a lot of questions about. What's kind of neat about this whole situation with the whole Facebook graphical search revealed is that they're pretty much going after Google's bread and butter right here. So it's kind of neat to see how people are going to react about that. And I'd be really, really, really surprised if nothing gets done or nobody says anything about that. I'd be surprised if there wasn't some patent infringement or something going on soon. But it continues to they're going to have a graphical search. You can sign up for it at I guess they want to test the service before they roll it out to everybody, which is, I can understand that. They definitely want to test their product out before they roll it out to everybody. That's just good IT practices. But this whole thing with the graphical search, this is like a phishing scam. This is like a dream for anybody that's running a phishing scam, because you're going to get all this graphical information about people in the graphical search. I'd be very skeptical to see if they don't pull this special feature. For the simple reason is, it's going to be a security nightmare for anybody. But like I said, it's kind of a neat feature. It's something that I think everybody needs to be wary about, because when you say where are you from, how do you know me, people are going to be able to give you that answer because they're going to get that information from the graphical search. So that's something I think that everybody needs to be very leery about over the next, with this whole graphical search being rolled out. And it's definitely something that I think, everybody's going to be. Don't get me wrong, it's incredibly cool, but something that I guess I'm a little hesitant about because of the amount of information people are going to have just at the touch of a fingertip, touch of a search. And one of the things that we've said too, with technology is becoming less and less hard. It's becoming harder and harder to stay off the grid, just because of Facebook, Google, and everything. It's becoming very, very hard to be off the grid. Everything's online, and people want it that way so they can, people can track you and all that type of stuff. I remember there was an article a while back, and I had a hard time finding it. I would like to, maybe I can dig for it tonight. If I can, I'll put it in the show notes about all the data that Google's collecting on you. And actually, it's kind of scary. And now this is going to make it even easier, because you're going to be anything you put on Facebook is going to be able to be found through graphic search. And I know Google actually, Facebook ate a lot of guff over this whole search thing. Not just only the security component of it, But I guess a lot of people were really upset because I guess people wanted to. Especially investors wanted the Facebook phones that obviously they can make money on, hardware sales and all that type of stuff. But that doesn't seem to be anywhere in their radar from what I've been reading. But that's definitely something that when you have investors like that, that's definitely something that a lot of people want to see. They want to see stuff like that. And, Facebook doesn't seem that they want to get into the tablet market or get into the mobile market as far as selling hardware goes. And I guess a lot of people are really upset about that because with their stocks as shaky as they were, people really wanted to see something that they can actually sink their teeth into as a revenue. So, but we'll see how that goes. And Facebook's also getting a lot of guff over this whole Instagram thing. I was just listening to an article, a blog, a podcast. I have a blog from somebody, and they were saying he runs actually an Instagram where they actually follow the Instagram feed and all type of stuff, and they give photo tips and all type of stuff. And he said he actually lost a huge chunk of his audience because of the whole thing with the Instagram terms of service, and they're still struggling with it. And they've lost. I think I was reading somewhere about almost half of their users over that whole thing, and that's really a huge loss for Facebook because they spent a lot. They spent about $1 billion to purchase that company, and only a year or so after it, they're already losing huge chunks of their customer base. So that's really a huge blow for them, and that's just piling on top of that the disappointment. For the Facebook graphic search. I mean, the graphic search thing was cool, but I don't think it made the real hit with investors that it wanted to. So I'd be very, Facebook right now is really shaky ground as far as their investors go. So we'll see how that goes. And they're really in shaky ground right now. So we'll see how that goes. The other thing too is that's kind of a letdown, I guess, with Facebook is this whole privacy settings that keep changing, and that's where the big gotcha with them. So like I said, they're really on some shaky ground with their investors right now. And I'd be curious to see if any investors pull out or anything like that, because between that whole thing with Instagram and that whole thing with the Facebook graphical search, I think they're really upset with the owner and really upset with the way the company's going right now. I think they expected it to be a lot more of a revenue generator. And it just doesn't seem to be. I'm sure the company's making money. I'm not saying they're not. They're a $1 billion company, but I think their investors are definitely skeptical right now. And I'd be really surprised if. I think their investors don't like the fact that Mark Zuckerberg has so much control over the company, and I think at times he doesn't take his investors into account when he makes decisions. So we'll see how it goes for them. And I wish the company well and all that, but it's just interesting to see what happens. Speaking of companies that have been on shaky ground, IE 10 is coming out for Windows 7. It's just inching closer and closer, so we'll see what happens with that. I played with it a little bit, but I'm not. Looks a lot like IE 9 for the most part. It's pretty much like Vista, kind of like 7 was like Vista R2. It's pretty much, I think IE 10 is going to be IE 9 R2. I don't really want to get too much into it because it's not really. It's still got a ways to go yet. The other thing that was kind of neat to talk about Microsoft is, unfortunately, they had one of their offices get broken into, one of their developer offices, and they raided all the iPads, but they left all the Surface tablets. I thought that was kind of funny, and brand recognition just shows you. But I feel bad for Microsoft. Nobody wants to get broken into, obviously, but it's kind of neat how the people who stole the iPads. The other thing I wanted to talk about as well is the. Google's pretty much declaring war on the password thing. With the release of the last couple of versions of Android, they've kind of gone to the face recognition type of passwords, and I don't think it did. I mean, I think it was a great feature. But I loved it, but it hasn't really caught on. And that's kind of the problem with technology. Sometimes you have the best idea in the world, but if it doesn't catch on, it just doesn't catch on. But they actually declaring war on passwords here, saying that what they're going to do with passwords is they want to have one device, like your cell phone or something you carry with you. You plug it in, it authenticates you into your Google account, and then that in turn will then trigger all your other account access. So it definitely is something different. I don't know how it's going to work yet, but it's kind of just been a little bit of a rumor or something that Google is going to do, and need to see what they do with it. I think it could be really, really cool, but I think it's definitely going to be something that we're going to have to wait and see. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on that one because I think it's very cool. And let's see. Well, that's about the end of the news this week that kind of caught my attention. By the way, folks, we're going to start something new. By the way, if you want to send in any news information, you can go ahead and send it to me as well, and I'll talk about it on the air. I'm more than willing to do that. I've thought myself, I'm digging through all these news stories, trying to find out what I might like. And what you might like. Why don't you guys tell them what you like? Feel free to tweet me at LePannyTech on Twitter and or Skype me at LePannyTech and tell them what you want. I'd be really interested to see what you guys want to know. And if it's a good piece of information, I can't check all the sites. That's one thing. With the way tech news is so fast, so progressive, I can't always check all the news, but I do the best I can. But you guys might see an article that maybe I missed, maybe I didn't hit that site up. So go ahead and. Any news? Tell me. I'll be willing to talk about it on the air. I'm sure there's a lot of good articles out there. Maybe that I just might miss. So if you see anything, like I said, feel free to send it to me. And also, too, folks, we don't really talk about photography enough on here. Unfortunately, I'm not a huge picture taker person. I'm not. If I can't take it with my phone, I just don't take it. But I've had some people go ahead and send me pictures and stuff like that, and some of them have been great. We actually do have a photo gallery up under multimedia, the UCC Photos. We have a photo gallery there. Not incredibly impressive, but it is pretty good. We got some good pictures on there. Some of the projects I've done, some of the other things that people have sent me. If anybody has any good photographs, feel free to tweet them to me at LePannyTech. Or if you want to email to me, LePannyTech@gmail.com. And, send them to me, and we'll put them up on the site and get your name mentioned in the podcast, and get yourself a little bit of a plug for your photography business or your photography blog or whatever you have. And, we're willing to. So go ahead and send us those pictures if you want. And like I said, if they're good and, they're appropriate, I'll go ahead and put them up on the site and give you a plug on the air here, so... Yeah, speaking of plugs on the air, I just want to go ahead and plug one of our sponsors, Roku, fabulous video streaming device. You go ahead and plug it into your TV using an HDMI or video port, and you can stream a video, watch what you like, Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime. I stream Spotify, Pandora. There's actually, myself, I'm actually into Twit TV. They're a great show. You can get their network. They have an app for that. PrisonPlanet.tv. Those of you that like Alex Jones, go ahead and there's a thing. There's a channel for everything. Weather Underground. It's really, really great, and I actually find it to be better than most smart TVs. And they were at CES as well, and I've been with these guys a couple of years now, and I really like it. Obviously, you have to have a Netflix subscription, or a lot of the services are subscription based. But it was a fabulous device, and I love it. And I would recommend it to anybody. And if you go to our site under sponsors and you see the Roku, you can get a Roku for $59.99. Appreciate you click on the link and buy it through us. So we get the credit for it, and you also get a $10 discount on it. They're usually $79. Actually, you're getting a $20 discount because you're getting it for $29. They're usually $79. And again, that's Roku, and they're a wonderful device. Let me tell you. If anybody has any questions, feel free tweet me at LePannyTech, and I can tell you all about it. I think it's one of the best streaming devices I've ever purchased. I like it better, and I can tell you, I do like it better. I have played with the Xbox streaming, and I have played with a lot of some Blu-ray players and all that type of stuff. But I have to say, the one thing I like about the Roku is the Roku allows you to have multiple different services on one device, and I have not seen any other devices that do that. A lot of Blu-ray players just do Netflix. A lot of other devices. Do Netflix or Hulu, but they don't do Amazon. This device lets you do everything. And like I said, all these online streaming companies, like Twit, Prison Planet, all of them have Roku channels, and I haven't seen any other device that allows you to add channels like that. So it's a really great service. And like I said, it's Roku. Like I said, go to our sponsors tab and you'll see the Roku coupon there, $59.99, and we get the credit for it, and you get a little bit of a break on the price. And that's Roku, and they're really, really a fabulous product, and they're really great. And I want to get your questions. And it's unfortunate, folks. This week we didn't get as many questions as I would have would have liked. I don't know if it's people were busy this week or whatever, but we didn't get that many questions this week, and it's really unfortunate. I like to encourage everybody, by the way, to send the questions to our Twitter account so I can go ahead and answer them. And we didn't get that many questions this week, and but I encourage everybody, please, send me questions. I love all the questions, believe me. I love it. And believe me, without your questions, we don't really have that much of a show. It's just me going over the news. So please feel free to send in those questions and those pictures, like I just said, and we'll get them on the show. And we have a lot of Mac questions this week. I don't know why. Maybe because I brought up that I got an iMac last week. I don't know. We got a lot of Mac questions this week. Best time tracking software. Oh, here we go. What's the best time tracking program for Mountain Lion on a Mac? I have a business and I need to track times. Well, there's a couple things you can do with this. You can use FileMaker Pro. That's an option. You can use OpenOffice and create yourself a little database. If you're tech savvy, I don't know how tech savvy this person is, and create yourself a little database, and you can track times that way. They do have. They have QuickBooks for the Mac. If you want to track time, that's an option. I don't know how big of a business you have. That's an option. You can use Microsoft Office. They have a database. You can write yourself a little database program. If we're talking about data, you can even use Excel or even use a Google Docs and it's stored up in the cloud. There, anything ever happens, it's stored up there in the cloud. But I'm not really sure how much time tracking you do. I personally, when I had when we did a lot of work, we had to track time. I always use an Excel spreadsheet. You can use Google Docs. OpenOffice has a free spreadsheet program. There's a lot of things you can do with that. If you're using a Mac, it really doesn't really matter. Mac. There's Office. There's actually Microsoft Office support for the Mac, Office 2010. You have Google Docs, OpenOffice. All of them will be compatible with the Mac, so your OS really isn't an issue. But there's a lot of options you could use. You can use QuickBooks in the cloud. There's a lot of different time tracking software for the Mac. If you just do a quick Google search, time tracking software for a Mac. There's so many that comes up. It's unbelievable. You have OfficeTime.net. They're one. For the Windows, the Mac, or the iPhone, there's time tracking utilities. There's Harvest is another one. There's so many of them. None of them are going to be free unless you use a spreadsheet. But when you're talking about companies like Billable and all that type of stuff, obviously there's going to be a monthly fee with any of those. But actually, the one is Time Edition. That's free. They don't charge anything. And FreshBooks widget is another one that can help you. So just go ahead and Google search it, or if I were you, I'd just use a spreadsheet. It's simple, easier. That's what I would do if I were you, personally. That's just what I would do. Spreadsheet, sometimes the simplest answer is the best one. You know what I mean? Let's see. What other questions do we have here today? Like I said, there weren't many of them, so... how should I back up my Android phone? That's a good question. Just like iCloud, Android has its own version of kind of iCloud, which is really, 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 really good, by the way. They have their own version. Most of your stuff, contacts, and most of your other stuff, your pictures and all that stuff get backed up onto your Gmail account. But if you want, there is a free app called Phone Backup. You can it'll back up, contacts, call log, messages, calendar, alarm, all that stuff. System settings, system state, which is I think what person's asking for, call accounting, all that stuff. And like I said, it's all it's a good app. But like I said, most of your stuff already gets back to the Google. If you go into settings, there's a spot there, and if you click on in Google settings, you'll see there's a backup. Click on that, and under there it'll show you everything that's backing up. If you want to back up more than that, like I said, there is this phone backup app that's free. It's a 4-star app, and that's something you might want to try. So go ahead and try that. That's an option. I run a business. What is a good off-site backup for the iMac? We're constantly getting questions about that. And like I said, it's Carbonite is one. You can use Google Drive is a good one if you just want to back up your applications. Google Drive's a good one. There's not really a whole lot like I said, there's not a whole lot you need to do nowadays. Backups years ago used to be, crash dump. I mean, there's so many different ones out there right now. It's really, really great with this whole cloud and everybody having high-speed internet. Years ago you'd have to burn it to CD because you didn't have, or when jump drives came out, they were incredibly expensive. But like I said, for the most part, you could. I remember years ago. A friend of mine, I would actually remember sending him backups on a jump drive, and I remember mailing it to him. But like I said, Google Drive is pretty good if you just want to back up your documents and music and stuff like that. Google Music will back up all your music. I would recommend Google, or like I said, Carbonite is one you have to pay for that one. But there's so many different options nowadays, and we get a lot of questions about that. And there's so many free options. I want to make Windows 8 more look like Windows 7. What can I do? Well, there's a classic shell is one that you can use that makes your Windows 8 look like Windows 7. That's an easy question. Classic shell is a really, really good one. I like it. It does a job well. It's free, so all you have to do is donate to it. It's really good. I have no problem with it. I like it. Windows 7 keeps rebooting on me. What can I do? Well, you're going to want to boot into recovery when it comes up, and you're going to want to go in and it'll run a startup repair. And I think that's all you're going to need to do. Any more than that, you can click on recovery tools, and you can go ahead and you can do a system restore right through the disk. If it was Windows 7, you have a lot more options. You did XP, there wasn't a lot of options, but with 7, you have a lot of options to repair. So I would go ahead and do that. Like I said. Windows 7 has a lot of options. Like I said, boot up into startup repair and let it run a startup repair. And if not, you can go into advanced tools and you can go ahead and run a system restore. Or then you also have options to do the command prompt, and you can run a boot repair, or you can run a master boot record repair. So there's a lot you can do. Let's see. Can I get Office on my Mac? Well, it's another question that's pretty much standard nowadays. Office. You can use Microsoft Office. OpenOffice is free. Google Docs is free. All that stuff is free. There's plenty of options for word processing and all that. Let's see what else we have. Can I install WordPress on a Mac server? Yeah, you can actually. It's actually fairly easy. If you go to codec.wordpress.org/install_WordPress_your_Mac_with_map, there's a whole section on installing WordPress locally on your Mac, and it's relatively easy. You're going to download something, you're just going to run an install, and it's going to do everything for you. It's so easy. It's just basically download and install nowadays. So go ahead, and like I said, I'll include that link in the show notes. It's really easy. You have to be running Mac OS X 10.6.6 or later, and it's very, very easy to do. I know a lot of school districts that run it for their school website, and I know a lot of that installs so their kids can mess around with it and post websites and stuff. So it's very easy, very simple to do. That's a good question. Let's see what else we have here in the questions. Is there a way to fix the screen on an old laptop? If depending on how old it is, you might be better off just going up to. If you, I don't know how tech savvy you are. Normally, you have to go to a shop to get it repaired. If you are tech savvy, you can go on eBay, get a cheap. Go ahead and get yourself a cheap screen and just swap it out. I know, like an Acer netbook and stuff like that. The minis, the screens are like maybe $20-$30, so it's relatively easy. So that's an option you have. If you're not that tech savvy, you're gonna have to go to a shop and get it repaired. It's not easy to do. I mean, it's easy if you know what you're doing, but like I said, you have some. It should be relatively cheap, but if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna have to spend some money on some labor. But make sure you buy the screen. Don't let them buy the screen. Go on eBay or go on Amazon and get a cheap screen, and then have them do it. Don't let them buy the screen because they're gonna charge you an arm and a leg for the screen, and they shouldn't be that cheap, especially if it's an old laptop. You can get one off eBay, buy a parts laptop. As long as the screen works, they can take the screen off, put in a new one. When I open a program, it crashes. what I recommend is go into safe mode, see if the program opens. If it does, that means you might have a virus on your machine, or you might have to run a system file checker, SFC /scan now, and a command prompt. Make sure you run the command prompt as administrator. Or you might there's a couple things you might have to do, but I would say boot up in safe mode first. The other thing you could do is boot up in safe mode and run a virus scan and a malware bytes check and all type of stuff on it. And you can definitely see. My guess is you probably have a Windows problem. You probably don't have a virus, you probably have a Windows problem. So there's a couple things you could do. Like I said, a system file checker. You can run a check disk. There's a lot of things you can do. Do that first. Try reinstalling the program if it's crashing. Go into safe mode and see if it boots up. There's a lot of things you could do. And that's pretty much it on the questions. Like I said, I want to thank everybody for listening. And, like I said, this is our 10th podcast, and we're very grateful. And we're going to keep doing these. And like I said, I encourage everybody to please send more questions in. Again, you can find our site, thetechnologygeek.org. You can also find all of our wonderful stuff up at our eBay store, aacrstore.com. And I want to thank again to our wonderful sponsor. That's audibletrial.com/techgeek. I want to thank our sponsors once again. I want to thank everybody for listening, and I want to thank you for another wonderful podcast. And I want to encourage everybody to read our blog. We do the podcast once a week, but we do blog every day, and we have wonderful posts and all that type of stuff. I want to encourage everybody to look at our site as much as they can, and as well as I want to thank everybody for everything they do, and thank all of our listeners, and we will talk to you next week. Thank you very much.